Okay, I'm back, y'all, in Divinely Grateful Risings. How are y'all doing today? I hope you're having a fantastic, amazing day. Y'all, welcome to Bible Clarity. Welcome to Bible Clarity. We are in the book of Deuteronomy. We are on Deuteronomy 9 and 10 this morning. Deuteronomy 9 and 10. We just got done reading about the privilege of holiness as well as obedience, right? Making sure that a call to obey, to remember everything that the Lord has brought us through, everything He taught us in our wilderness season. Y'all know we getting ready, we're getting the instructions, the commandments as we're getting ready to step into the promised land, right? The land flowing with milk and honey. So the Lord been talking to us about making sure that we're always fearing Him, remembering that everything that He had to, like how He had to humble us. And so we're getting ready to talk about Deuteronomy 9 and 10. Deuteronomy 9 talks about victory by God's grace, because that's the only way we win, y'all. We don't win. Y'all, look at what's at the bottom of the deck. Look at the Is This Love? Y'all know these rings. That's my Padre God card, the Hierophant, right? Y'all know we don't do anything. We're not winning by our own strength. We're winning because the Lord has given us grace, because He's given us strength in order to be accomplished and successful. So that's the only way we are victorious, is because God allows it, right? So on into it, let's get to it. Deuteronomy 9 and 10. Okay, Deuteronomy 9 and 10. So again, Moses is giving us the commandments. This is the new generation Israelites, because remember, the last Israelites, they died in the wilderness for disobedience. They wandered. Something that should have only taken 11 days ended up taking 40 years because of their disobedience. And the Lord said everybody who was in the generation of Israelites that were freed from Egypt was going to die in the wilderness, and did. And so all of these people are actually the new generation Israelites. This is everybody who was younger. And so now Moses is reestablishing, giving the covenant, the commandments again, the instructions again, because these people them weren't old enough, right? They were still young when the first set of commandments were given. So, oh, let's do it. Let's get to it, y'all. Victory by God's grace. This is Deuteronomy 9 and 10. I am in the One Step Closer Bible. This is an NLT. Victory by God's grace. Deuteronomy 9. Okay, here we go. Listen, O Israel, today you are about to cross the Jordan River to take over the land belonging to nations much greater and more powerful than you. They live in cities with walls that reach to the sky. The people are strong and tall, descendants of the famous Anakite giants. You've heard the saying, who can stand up to the Anakites? But recognize today that the Lord your God is the one who will cross over ahead of you like a devouring fire to destroy them. He will subdue them so that you will quickly conquer them and drive them out, just as the Lord has promised. After the Lord your God has done this for you, don't say in your hearts, the Lord has given us this land because we are such good people. No, it is because of the wickedness of the other nations that He is pushing them out of your way. It is not because you are so good or have such integrity that you are about to occupy their land. Message. Okay, the Lord your God will drive these nations out ahead of you only because of their wickedness, and to fulfill the oath He swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You must recognize that the Lord your God is not giving you this good land because you are good, for you are not. You are a stubborn people. Okay, remembering the golden calf. So He gonna recount what happened when He was up on the mountain, child, and they was down there cutting up. They could see the Lord. Okay, they could see Him on the mountain, but he was up there with the Lord. Moses was up there with the Lord, and the people were down there rebelling while He was getting the first set of commandments. Remember and never forget how angry you made the Lord your God out in the wilderness. From the day you left Egypt until now, you have been constantly rebelling against him. So he's speaking. Now remember, he's speaking to the new generation Israelites. These are like the parents of the people he's actually speaking to. And in this Deuteronomy, Moses kind of flips back and forth between talking about the old generation and the new generation, but it's really all the same, right? He's talking to us in real life, in real time, for real, y'all. I hope you can see yourself in the word. Y'all know I say this all the time. We are the new generation Israelites. So even right now, a lot of the stuff that Moses is telling us, it applies right now in real life. So he's talking about what they did back then, but also how we rebel in this season. Okay. Even at Mount Sinai, you made the Lord so angry, he was ready to destroy you. This happened when I was on the mountain receiving the tablets of stone inscribed with the words of the covenant that the Lord had made with you. I was there for 40 days and 40 nights, and all that time I ate no food and drank no water. The Lord gave me the two tablets on which God had written with his own finger all the words he had spoken to you from the heart of the fire when you were assembled at the mountain. At the end of the 40 days and nights, the Lord handed me the two stone tablets inscribed with the words of the covenant. Then the Lord said to me, "Get up, go down immediately, for the people you brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted gold and made an idol for themselves." The Lord also said to me, "I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Leave me alone so I may destroy them and erase their name from under heaven. Then I will make a mighty nation of your descendants, a nation larger and more powerful than they are." So while the mountain was blazing with fire, I turned and came down, holding in my hands the two stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. There below me, I could see that you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had melted gold and made a calf idol for yourselves. How quickly you had turned away from the path the Lord had commanded you to follow. So I took the stone tablets and threw them to the ground, smashing them before your eyes. Then, as before, I threw myself down before the Lord for 40 days and nights. Y'all hear the answers and them cutting up? The crows. I ate no bread and drank no water because of the great sin you had committed by doing what the Lord hated, provoking him to anger. I feared that the furious anger of the Lord, which turned him against you, would drive him to destroy you. But again, he listened to me. So Moses interceded for them. The Lord was so angry with Aaron that he wanted to destroy him too. But I prayed for Aaron, and the Lord spared him. I took your sin, the calf you had made, and I melted it down in the fire and ground it into fine dust. Then I threw the dust into the stream that flows down the mountain. You also made the Lord angry at Taberah, Massa, and Kibroth Hattaavah. And at Kadesh Barnea, the Lord sent you out with this command: "Go up and take over the land I have given you." But you rebelled against the command of the Lord your God and refused to put your trust in him or obey him. Yes, you have been rebelling against the Lord as long as I have known you. That is why I threw myself down before the Lord for 40 days and nights, for the Lord said he would destroy you. I prayed to the Lord and said, "O sovereign Lord, do not destroy them. They are your own people. They are your special possession, whom you redeemed from Egypt by your mighty power and your strong hand. Please overlook the stubbornness and the awful sin of these people, and remember instead your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If you destroy these people, the Egyptians will say the Israelites died because the Lord wasn't able to bring them to the land he had promised to give them. Or they might say, he destroyed them because he hated them. He deliberately took them into the wilderness to slaughter them. But they are your people and your special possession, whom you brought out of Egypt by your great strength and powerful arm." Okay, so Moses interceded and said, "Don't do that, Lord. Don't do that, God." We don't want people thinking that you couldn't deliver on the promise that you had made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, giving them the land that you promised. We don't want to hear their mouth. We don't want to hear what they got to say. So don't they stubborn, they're rebellious, but don't take them out. Don't destroy them. And so he did not. Okay. A new copy of the covenant, Deuteronomy 10. At that time, the Lord said to me, chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones. Also, make a wooden ark, a sacred chest to store them in. Come up to me on the mountain, and I will write on the tablets the same words that were on the ones you smashed. Then place the tablets in the ark. So I made an ark of acacia wood and cut 2 stone tablets like the first 2. Then I went up the mountain with the tablets in my hand. Once again, the Lord wrote the 10 commandments on the tablets and gave them to me. They were the same words the Lord had spoken to you from the heart of the fire on the day you were assembled at the foot of the mountain. Then I turned and came down the mountain and placed the tablets in the Ark of the Covenant, which I had made just as the Lord commanded. And the tablets are still there in the ark. The people of Israel set out from the wells of the people of Jachan and traveled to Mosera, where Aaron died and was buried. His son Eleazar ministered as high priest in his place. Then they journeyed to Gudgodah, and from there to Jotbotha, and a land with many brooks and streams. At that time, the Lord set apart the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the Lord's covenant and to stand before the Lord as his ministers and to pronounce blessings in his name. These are their duties to this day. That is why the Levites have no share of property or possession or land among the other Israelite tribes. The Lord himself is their special possession, as the Lord your God told them. As for me, I stayed on the mountain in the Lord's presence for 40 days and nights, as I had done the first time. And once again, the Lord listened to my pleas and agreed not to destroy you. Then the Lord said to me, get up and resume the journey and lead the people to the land I swore to give their ancestors, so they may take possession of it. A call to love and obedience. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? He requires only that you fear the Lord your God and live in a way that pleases him and love him and serve him with all your heart and soul. And you must always obey the Lord's commands and decrees that I am giving you today for your own good. Look, the highest heavens and the earth and everything in it belong to the Lord your God. Yet the Lord chose your ancestors as the objects of this love. And he chose you, their descendants, above all other nations, as is evident today. Therefore, change your hearts and stop being stubborn. For the Lord your God is the God of gods and Lord of lords. He is God. He is the great God, the mighty and awesome God, who shows no partiality and cannot be bribed. He ensures that orphans and widows receive justice. He shows love to the foreigners living among you and gives them food and clothing. So you too must show love to foreigners, for you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. You must fear the Lord your God and worship him and cling to him. Your oaths must be in his name alone. He alone is your God, the only one who is worthy of your praise, the one who has done these mighty miracles that you have seen with your own eyes. When your ancestors went down into Egypt, there were only 70 of them. But now the Lord your God has made you as numerous as the stars in the sky. The end. Okay. And that's it. Let me read this box real quick, y'all. It talks about priorities. This references Deuteronomy 10, 12, and 13. The Bible says that loving and obeying God is the most important thing we can do, for what else affects our eternal future so significantly. We must live here, remembering that we will spend most of our lives there in heaven. When was the last time you had a long talk with God? Saturday. How often in a week do you read his word? Every day. Okay. Do your words and actions prove to others that God and God's ways are the top priorities in your life. Okay. And I know this is, don't judge me, y'all. I forgot to read this. And this goes back to Deuteronomy 8:1. But I'm going to read it here because I forgot to read these two. So I'm going to read these boxes because it still is speaking to obedience and just being obedient to what the Lord is asking us to do, right? Should we try to obey all of God's commandments? Yes, of course, realizing that we are not perfect and that we may fail in some. But if we know we will fail, why try? Because we do not know where we will fail or even how badly we will fail. If we don't try to obey any of God's commandments, we will end up obeying none of them. If we try to obey them, we will succeed in obeying many of them. Even though we're not perfect, we can persevere in striving to become all God wants us to be. And if we consistently work at obeying God's commandments, then we will gain the trust of others because they know that our goal is to always do what is true and right. Okay. And then the next one talks about discipline. When we discipline our children, we should always first ask ourselves, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to help the child or vent my anger? Demonstrate the difference between right and wrong, or break the child's spirit so that he doesn't bother me so much. When our motives are right, our actions will likely be right too. But wrong motives give birth to unwholesome actions. Guard your motives when you are disciplining your child. Keep in mind how and why the Lord disciplines, that his aim is always to build us up and to help us develop our fullest potential. And if God is disciplining you, ask for the wisdom to pay attention and to respond in a constructive way, the way you would like your child to respond. Okay, so that is it, y'all. That is it for Deuteronomy 9 and 10. We only win because of him. We got to remember, like, we don't want to forget the times we've all been disobedient. And that's not to say we won't mess up again, like that other box said, because we're not always going to get it right, y'all. Sometimes we miss an instruction, or sometimes we miss a step, or sometimes we do some things that the Lord is like, no, that's not what I want you to do, or go backwards. So you can always go back and be like, Daddy, my bad, right? That's me. My bad, Daddy. I forgive me, right? Forgive me for going backwards. Because this the thing, the Lord forgives, and he's gracious that way. He's good like that, right? He's good like that. He will forgive us because a lot of times we ain't trying to do stuff intentionally. We know the difference between right and wrong, and sometimes you just don't know. I tell y'all all the time, especially on this journey, I don't always know. I'm new on this journey, y'all. I'm new with walking with the Lord, and trying to just making sure that I'm living right and doing the right things. I really am the new generation Israelites, and so are a lot of us, right? We really are. And so just remember that, like, the Lord knows that sometimes we don't get it right, sometimes we mess up, and just trust and believe that he's going to forgive us anyway. Okay. Just do your best to obey and continue to talk to him, build relationship with him, read the word, get instructions, and that's going to help us continue to move forward and be successful in our own walks with the Lord. Okay. And that's it. I hope this helps somebody. Y'all hydrate the soul and things. Drink your water. Say your gratitude. Have a fantastic and amazing day in purpose and on purpose. I'll see y'all on the message, and I'll see y'all for Deuteronomy 11 and 12 next time. All right. I love y'all in real life. Bye, y'all.